Welcome to YouTooSpain Live. And on this week's show, we're talking about retiring to Spain in 2025 or 2026 and how the new residency rules have affected the process. And you can ask our visa and residency specialist, Chris from Upsticks, all about it. From stage one of the process, where you apply for your non-lucrative visa in the consulates or BLS, to the whole stage two process of getting your residency in Spain and picking up your TIE card. Chris, as usual, will be giving away some Upsticks goodies to whoever has the best question or comment in the live chat. So start asking your questions now on there or in the comments below, especially if you're watching back afterwards, because you are a part of this too. You are welcome to YouTooSpain. Let's have the groovy theme. Here it comes. Yes, that is so groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome our best mate, Chris from Upsticks. Morning, matey. Oh,
morning. I forgot my microphone.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, don't forget that. You'd be silent all day.
we were talking too much. That's what it was before.
Yeah. We do that. We yatter on for a while. Oh, I found out that somebody said to me, you know, that when it goes all blurbly and we can't hear you properly.
Yeah.
Somebody said that matches up when YouTube sticks an advert in there. So it's all YouTube's fault. They're interrupting the flow of the stream. So if that happens to everybody out there, sorry about that. It's not our fault at all. And if it does happen, then I'll make sure you repeat what you were saying when it happens. So have you got any shout outs today before I go into the live chat?
Oh, Janet and Dave from up in Moyina who got their renewal through. Now, this was one of our, this is really good. I'm going to do a bit of a brief on it on our weekly update, but we're starting to get renewals and requirement letters from after the law change. So just Janet and Dave, well done for getting yours because yours came afterwards. But it's all going a bit mad.
Yes, lovely. Right, let's have a look on the live chat. Donald Mackenzie is there. He's saying, morning guys, this week's completed task has been to settle on quotes from removal firms for the move later this year. All done and dusted. Jings. I haven't heard that expression for a while. Jings, it's like Beano and Dandy kind of thing. It's complicated and expensive. Yeah, we found that and we ended up going for a slightly cheaper one and slightly regretted it in the end because they turned out to be just a kind of logistics company and they farmed it off to somebody else. So all of our stuff went with a company in Dublin, first of all, across Ireland, and then they changed vans. They changed a lot of stuff that was in the boxes. They opened stuff and put them in their own boxes. So everything came out all piled into boxes, not even neat as we'd packed it. We'd been very careful to label all the boxes. And so, once it turned up in Ireland, several days late, even though we were sitting waiting for it in the storage unit. So we had a bit of a nightmare story about that. Hopefully yours is a better story than that. And Alan McAfee says, good morning, gents. And Paul Cook, good morning. Becca Phillipson is there as well. And Tony Silcock, morning, guys, from a cold Wales. Oh, dear. And Steve Moffat is there, morning from a wet Congleton. Nice, up in Cheshire there. Marvellous. And so get asking your questions now, and if you've not already said hello, I know there's more people than that sitting watching. We've got nearly 20 people already who've joined us. So all of you, give us a bit of a wave and say good morning, get your name on the live chat so we can see that you're there. And while you're doing that, we'll get straight on with the main feature, shall we? Because we're only going to take an hour in today's show. There you go. Right, so main feature goes something like this. It's the main feature of the show. The topics in the title. Woo! Yes, indeed. So, Chris, it's been a big year for visas and residency. What with the new rules? So it's about time that we did an update for all the retirees who are planning to move here. Well, most of them now are going to be planning to move in 2026, but I've put 2025 on the thumbnail just for the sake of getting people to watch the thing, because people are planning ahead now. But yeah, so people planning to move here and retire on the non-lucrative visa, and they need to know what to do. So let's start with the planning ahead for stage one.
Yeah, so stage one, I say now we're already talking. I mean, as I think when we were chatting, it sounds crazy because we're always saying, well, people, 2027 sounds so far away, doesn't it? So 2026 sounds far away, but 2027, and we're already talking to people for 2027, you know, and certainly people who are looking at early 2026, you know, you might need to be starting now, especially
Yeah.
consulates in like Manchester, which take their time. But generally for the 2026 applicants, the first thing that everybody's looking at is the tax liabilities. Now, as you say, you have a lot of tax stuff going on the channel, so we're not going to go too much into that. But as we all know, and it's repeated a million times, and on your content, my content, that the tax year is from the 1st of January till the 31st of December, and it's generally understood that if you spend more than 183 days during that period in Spain, you'll become a fiscal resident that year. So this is why we've had at this time of the year, we've always got stacks of visas waiting to come out, you know, and then and problems with getting the appointments, because this year people have applied in April, May, June, knowing and balancing their time, depending on the consulate they're going to and the estimated turnaround times, to try and get in this time of year. So people who are coming next year are now looking at doing the same. So I'm having conversations with people and they're saying, look, Chris, we're looking at selling our property. We're putting our property on the market now, which means by default, there's a lot of people looking for temporary accommodation in the UK because they depend on their funds from the property, for example, to fund the visa application. It's virtually impossible, very difficult to time the sale of your property in the same year that you get your passport with your visa back and spend less than 183 days in Spain. You know, probably that's. I have that conversation all the time. And the biggest question I get asked is, what do people normally do? And it's such a hard question to answer because, you know, the property sale in the UK depends on the chain, the area, etc. But really, most people who are looking to sell now this year, I'd imagine if your property was going on the market, unless you had a quick turnaround, then it may now be too late and you'd be looking at the back end of 2026.
There you go. So that's selling your house and preparing. Anything else you need to prepare for in advance?
I think there's a couple of things. So the first thing is if there's on the criminal records front, things have changed slightly with a new update to the law where basically it says that, you know, the fact of having a criminal record won't be the single factor in you being denied a visa, but every criminal record would be assessed to see if you're going to be a danger to the public, basically, here in Spain. But we know that no trace is great on an acro. That's a green light. No live trace at the moment in Edinburgh and London has never been questioned. It's a green light there. But in Manchester, you have to offer a further explanation. And that's been going on for a while. And we've never had any problem with people offering further explanation. And for anybody who suspects they may have something that shows up on a criminal record, if you're looking at coming in 2026 and 2027, it'd be worth getting your acro now, your acro certificate, not DBS, checking what's on there, because sometimes they don't get stepped down automatically and this can take time. So really checking if you've got any suspicions that you might have something on your criminal record. It's worth getting now and then seeing if there's anything that can be done about it before you go to your application.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost that much to get your acro, does it?
£65, and obviously it's just a check, and you know it's going to run out. They've got a validity of 6 months, but if you know it's going to run out, then you know you don't have to get it translated and apostilled at this stage. It's basically part of your preparation.
Okay, well, we've got a few questions Let's see. Oh, Michael Hill, morning, gentlemen. Could you tell me what the amount of time the initial visa is granted for through the new family member route?
I don't know, to be honest. Through the new Spanish, if it's the new Spanish family member, I seem to recognize Michael's name. I don't know if it's a Spanish one. Maybe I'm wrong. If it's a Spanish one, I'm not too sure. To be honest, the only thing we haven't done any of the applications. I did see on YouTube and a couple of channels that I follow that the quickest one that came out in Valencia was a month.
Okay.
In terms of if it's a application through the consulates and stuff for the family member or family reunification, the honest truth is I don't have a clue.
Okay. We'll follow that one up in future weeks.
Yeah.
Julie Brown says, morning from Nantwich, Cheshire. Somebody else from Cheshire. We've got the Cheshire Massive on today. Alan McCaffrey said, I've heard that when completing the EX01, some BLS clerks require a UK address, some require a Spanish. So would you advise to leave it blank and fill it in at the appointment?
We had a right, I think the word would be a right game with Manchester about a couple of years ago with this, because you couldn't do right for wrong. And for a whole year, we were doing two and send them out to people, go with both and let them choose which one they want. Okay. But so far, so good. For the last year or so, we have just been putting the Spanish address on the EX01. So no, we haven't come across any backlash or anybody at the BLS has been asking for the UK address. That said, okay, this time of year is the crazy time. People are going on holiday. They've got substitute staff there. One of our clients had a horrific experience in London the other day at the BLS office. And so there may be people who don't understand what they're requesting and asking for UK addresses, but there shouldn't be a UK address on an EX01. It's wrong. But yeah, it used to happen, but we haven't seen that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have Steve Moffat. Hello, Steve. Looking to start the NLV process in 25 or 26. 18-year-old daughter is looking to possibly start university in the UK this September. First question, as an 18-year-old, can she be part of an NLV family application? And question 2, does the uni affect the non-lucrative visa? Well, it helps, doesn't it? Because she's still in further education.
Yeah. So though she can be part of the family application, that's not a problem. And obviously she's still, I imagine she'll still be a dependent and you'll have paperwork proof to do that. I mean, the only thing is if she's going to be at uni, is it a physical course or is it an online course? If it's an online course, then she's got no problem studying on the NLV at all. Obviously she can't work, but if she's registered at a university and she's getting an NLV, then she'll be staying in the UK, surely. So I don't know, Steve, if it's she wouldn't have a problem as an 18-year-old coming across as a dependent. Her studying status wouldn't affect the NLV at all, if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah, good. And Donald's saying, Ray, the discussion of criminal records check for folks in Scotland, it's not called the ACRO, it's a Disclosure Scotland certificate. There you go.
It is still an ACRO in Scotland for NLVs.
Oh, okay then.
So I'm just going to get my coffee.
Yeah, no worries. Steve Moffat said, yeah, it's a physical course.
Well, yeah, obviously if it's a physical course, then I mean, in theory, you don't have to present any proof of this course as long as you can prove that your daughter hasn't been working or has never worked. Obviously, being an adult, she still has to prove that. And in that sense, you may have problems because if you've never worked, you wouldn't have a P45 and never been self-employed, the typical documents they request. But we've got around that before with proof from HMRC that they've never worked and stuff, letters. And then but it would be a problem if you're presenting a physical course in studying. You wouldn't really need to present it, but why would she need an NLV if she's going to have to be here?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, in the UK.
All good questions. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that
book a call? We'll have a chat. Or we might have a chat. We have chatted already. Book another one.
Yes, indeed. So, anything else you need to be looking at and preparing for? Healthcare, I suppose. Your sort of what kind of cover that you're going to get with private healthcare? Oh no, because it's S1, isn't it? Yes. Tell us all about that. What do you need to prepare?
Yeah, well, so I mean, early retirees, if you can start now. The problem you've got with private healthcare is that sometimes you can't go in too early because if you get an approval for healthcare that has an expiry date normally of 2 or 3 months. And then if you say, for example, you went through the process of getting a quote, actually getting it approved, and went back and said, oh, actually, I'm not coming until 2026. They're just going to say, we'll come back to us in 2026 because we don't know. You could have a heart attack between now and then. But you can start doing your research in the companies that you want. Certainly, if you have had any pre-existing conditions and you're missing the paperwork or you can't get into your NHS app to get all your stuff ready to prepare if you need to approach a healthcare provider, then that's a good idea. Starting getting your documents in place for that for next year. And then if it's S1, well, I mean, there's not a lot you can do before you actually come to apply, aside from getting yourself ready, understanding, which we tell our clients anyway, but understanding where you have to go, at what point you have to apply, etc. What you can do, there's a slight confusion regarding the GHIC card. So do you remember a while back, I think it was May last year, wasn't it, where the announcement came? You did the announcement on your channel. Somebody got a reply from the NHS saying that you can now receive healthcare in the UK and in Spain.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back into the archives and find that, which is actually true. We've actually had a client this week who was told by a doctor, look, he's moving to Spain in NLV, receiving treatment in the UK, which can't be stopped, and said, look, for the next year, just keep coming back and taking it. The doctor told him that, so that was fine. But what happens is there's a bit of a misunderstanding with the S1 applicants and the GHIC and stuff like that. So S1 still don't understand, the Pensions Authority who issue the S1s really don't understand the move into Spain process. Okay, so they'll always, when you phone up to get one, they will say, what day are you moving to Spain? Well, I don't know because there's a visa involved. It could be 4 weeks, could be 6 weeks. They're like, well, tell us when you know when you're moving, and put the phone down. Right. So you've got to look at your target appointment date, and then look at when you're expecting to go, and phone within 90 days and use your target appointment date to get your S1. But the moment you get issued an S1, they won't issue a GHIC card anymore. And when you come to Spain, you don't immediately get S1 cover. You have to have a padron, register the TIE card. That has to be submitted to the Social Security. They then emit a certificate. The certificate then goes to the doctors, like you did this when you were self-employed. And then you'll get a document saying your card's been ordered. At that point, you're registered at the doctors, and you've still got to wait a little bit for your card to come through. All that takes time. And during that time, you would depend on your GHIC if you didn't have any other insurance to prove that you've got emergency cover. But when you get your S1, if you haven't got a GHIC, they won't issue one. And if you have got a GHIC, then they tell you to send it back straight away. So what you need to do is you need to basically get your S1, tell them your target appointment date at the consulate. It's the only way you can get one. We then have to pre-register it, but that doesn't finalize until you get here. Keep your GHIC, and then when you receive the confirmation that you're now entitled to healthcare in Spain, then you can send your GHIC back, so you're not missing any cover at any point.
Very good. Very good to know. And Steve Moffat's replied to that, says he's going to book a call. Basically, the daughter wants to do the course but move with us after. So it would be like an NLV but reunifying with a family afterwards. Yeah. We've got to do it really quick afterwards, because obviously once she's left university, then she's no longer in full-time education. But
it's all to do with the finances, to be honest with you. What that whole conversation would be regarding timing and finances, basically, and then how you would position your finances and present it. Sometimes what we've found is it's easier to position depending on the finances available, the daughter's finances independently, or sometimes as part of the family unit who's already living in Spain.
Right. So, Alan McAfee saying, do you recommend photocopying every single page of the passport, even blank ones?
Yeah. So again, this is a bit of a pain. Again, this happened just this week. 2 appointments, 2 different consulates. One of the consulates said, "Oh, we only want the passport page with the stamp and the stamps in it," and the other consulate said, "We want every single page," or BLS office. Okay, so belts and braces, take a copy of every single page. There is method in their madness with that. It's because people are like, why do we have to take the blank pages? The reason you take the blank pages is because the consulate also want to check to see if you've got any visas for other countries aside from your stamps.
Cool. And Alan says, I took out my health insurance early because of age. He was 59, as it increases at 60 or before. Well, that was a good plan. So they bolted on a 6-month policy. He's corrected that later on. So in effect, I received 18 months worth of health insurance at a cheaper rate. Well, very good.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. And Adam says, good morning. Just touched down in Dublin to sample some fresh Guinness. Oh, I'm very, very jealous. I had a friend from over in Ireland who died earlier this week, and I wanted to raise a Guinness to him, but there's no Irish bars in Compita. Unfortunately, you can't get it up here. So anyway, I'll download the show for the plane journey back home tonight. Good plan. Enjoy your flight. So anything else we need to talk about in advance, or shall we move on to the next bit?
I think we did healthcare, criminal records, and the finances. The only other thing would be preparing the finances with, as we know, and we're learning more every week. Remember that the new law came in the 20th of May. The appointments which happened after the 20th of May is where we started to see stringent requirements for finances across the consulates, and we're learning more as we go along with their nuances. But certainly, if you are using high street accounts, you're using your moving money about, just make sure you have your bank account statements for this year. If you're applying in 2026, you need to get full 12 months of your bank account statements. Now, if it means collecting them or ordering them, in some cases, high street accounts, some people will still stamp them. If it's an online account, then you need to try and get proof of the opening of the account, and also speak to your online provider, see if they'll give you a letter telling the consulate is an online account only. All of those things you can start preparing now, or start saving, to make sure that this full year of 2025 is documented, as well as what you're going to be using moving forward next year, in case you're asked for it.
Brilliant. By the way, viewers, don't forget to check out Chris's Upsticks website and the YouTube channel. Some great videos on there, and the links are in the video description below, and I'll probably put them also, as usual. I pin the top comment all about that as well. And yeah, lots of articles and videos to help you out there. And there's a live update on his YouTube channel, the Upsticks YouTube channel, on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock Spanish time every week. And it's lots of fun, as well as being very informative. And there we go. All being well, I'll be on one of those in sometime in August, maybe. We're doing
I'll do this week, and then you could be on next week's maybe.
Cool. And you may have noticed that there's a QR code up in the corner up there somewhere, and as well as a super link in the video description below, and you can get to that to the same place from that. If you've learned something of value today, or will do for the rest of the show, or if you've been entertained, then use the link to donate a cup of coffee, or 3 or 5, whatever you think today's show is worth to you. Then the electricity keeps working and we all keep smiling. So let's have a look. Alan McAfee says, I was told in Spain you become 60 at 59 and 6 months. That's time moves at a completely different rate in Spain, doesn't it? What do they mean by that? Yeah. Okay. And Catherine Underwood says, I am a UK pensioner eligible for S1. Will all my prescriptions for arthritis be covered in Spain if I move to Spain for on an NLV? Is there a department I contact to check?
You will get prescriptions, but here, but they're not free. You have to pay a percentage of the medication that you receive, and that very much depends on where you're moving to, etc. Unfortunately, it's really hard to check what you're actually going to be paying before you come over. because what you don't know is what drugs you're going to have. So I had a conversation about a client this other day. So the process is you register your S1, you get your certificate, you go to the doctor does an assessment on you. And you've got to remember, this doctor is independent to your UK healthcare. So this doctor may give you different drugs, may give you a different assessment, may give you different tests. At the end of all of that, or they may just go, well, I've seen what you've got in the UK, you can have the equivalent, see you later. Who knows? That's the doctor. At the end of all that, you'll end up with your prescription, which sits on your card. And at that point is when you go to the chemist and you find out the drugs you've been given and how much percentage you're going to have off, which then normally is quite a high percentage for pensioners, depending on your autonomous community. But it's virtually impossible to find out beforehand what you're actually going to be paying.
Yes. But yeah, I'd repeat that it's not very expensive, and there's a kind of an upper limit on it as well that you can pay per month. And I've been having prescriptions for my cancer, my stoma stuff that I need to have every month, and it's not very much that I'm paying out at all. So there you go. John Carrington has a point about using the GHIC card after you have an S1. He's saying treatment on the GHIC is charged back to the UK. Thus, if used after an S1 has been issued, it'd be invalid. Therefore, I suspect one could be charged by DWP for the GHIC treatment, he said on the next one. Does that fit in with what you said, Chris?
After the S1's been registered.
Yeah.
So they issue it, then you've got a registration period. That's where the grey area is. But you should never be without any sort of emergency healthcare or healthcare. And until your S1 certificate is approved, then you don't have healthcare in Spain. So you're still getting your healthcare in the UK, and you have an emergency healthcare card you can use in Spain. Great.
Okay, then. So the next stage of the process is when you're going for your visa appointment. Right at that particular time. Is there anything else that you need to know at that point, and what documents are required?
So, I mean, the good thing about it, this is the one thing where you don't have a lot of preparation. And actually, I'm saying to people, please, just let's wait to book. Give me 24 hours, because we have a booking system where you jump online for the BLS, and there's always appointments available. Okay. Now, what we do with our clients is we have a little video that people follow, and then a lot of the time I'll jump on a screen share software because the client has to be behind the computer to take a digital photo. So we go through the process together, and some clients are comfortable doing it themselves. And I always actually have to do the reverse treatment and go, don't book it too soon, because when you have booked it, we need to check the documents, we need to go through the signatures, we need to go through the dates, a final checklist check, and get you prepared for going to your appointment. And a lot of people get excited. It'll be like Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Chris, I booked for tomorrow at 12. Are you free tomorrow at 8? No. So that's the one thing you don't really need to prepare beforehand, is the booking of the appointment. I mean, do you remember the shows where we did where it was like you couldn't get them? You know, so you're live from London and you're there, and I'm freezing, you're there, and it's like, that's all changed. The great news is that that we can get appointments whenever, so you don't have to pre-prepare booking appointment. As it stands, they're literally available the very next day.
There's a lot of panic, obviously, on social media about appointments not being available, but that's for the residency at the other, once you get here on stage 2, isn't it?
And don't, you know, am I allowed to rant? Don't get me started on that. I nearly did a rant video the other day, but that really annoyed me. Okay, but this I am going to rant on this now. Okay, it is difficult to get appointments. Now, our appointment Excel that we use, because we have a separate sheet where everybody goes on it, it gets managed daily by Jane. Absolutely does a phenomenal job of managing who, when, where has to go, whatever. But ours is looking really good. We've managed to get appointments across the board: Almeria, Alicante, now Huelva, thank goodness. But to be fair, we have a big team doing it. But they are available. But what really annoyed me the other day, and it was on social media, on Facebook, and I don't get on that much, but two very, should we say, trusted groups and organizations using the word for withdrawal agreement people, rejection. Okay, now this is wrong. All right, let's not create a them and us scenario. Okay, they are very, very busy. There is a lot. We've always had very it was specifically talking about Malaga here, and Malaga isn't a problem getting an appointment. You just have to wait. And when they said rejection, there are people who were going to do early renewals were being told you have to wait, till your card expires. That is not a rejection. Okay, that is just clickbait, or you're trying to get people to ask you more questions or something. If you get a withdrawal agreement early renewal, you go to a police station and they tell you, I'm afraid you have to wait till 2026 because we need these appointments for other people. That is not a rejection. It's a word that they shouldn't use. And it really, 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 really annoyed me because they're making out the police are rejecting people unlawfully, and they're not.
No.
So
very good point.
Yeah, so okay, fair enough. You should be able to do an early renewal if you've been here for more than 5 years. But what the police are saying is we need these appointments for other people. I'm really sorry. You've still got a valid card. It's not a rejection. So stop using rejection, organisation.
Yes, stop it, you organisations.
Really annoyed me. Honestly, I was so wound up because I hate it. We're trying to create a community of people. We all love Spain. You love Spain. People who are moving love Spain, and we want a community, and we want people to integrate, and we all want to be together. Okay, so using things which create this sort of them and us scenario is never going to help anybody. What we need to do is try and work out problems together, not create hysteria. We can carry on now. Sorry.
Absolutely. Right, we'll carry on.
That was my rant.
Thank you. Very good rant it was too. Yes. Very worth doing. Rob in here is saying, I know people who live in Spain on UK benefits and they live under the radar. Absolutely very naughty. To be honest, I can't understand how anybody can still live under the radar. A lot of the loopholes have closed. All of the laws have tightened up. And if you're under the radar, that means you've not got your residency, you've not got a TIE card, you've not got any social security. When you reach the age of retirement, what on earth are you going to do if you're not already retired? Where they're living on UK benefits, and once the UK benefits office get a hold of them, they're going to ask for all of that money back as well, and they're going to get deported. So tell those people who live in Spain under the radar, just sort yourself out. You're going to have to leave Spain. That's my opinion. That's my rant.
We're having some rants today, aren't we? You know, that's
so many people do all of the right things, and they've done all of the planning, and they've done all of the hard work. They've got the right finances, and yet some other people are taking the mickey. So we don't like that. It's ain't good, is it?
No, I understand. We go, with our clients, sometimes it's so tough to get the right documents and the money that's spent, to people to be here legally. But ultimately, there's going to be people now coming up to their 5 years permanent residency, going to be living here legally after all that stress and suffering and working and watching YouTube and working with us, working with other companies who are going to enjoy the fruits of their labour, won't they? Yeah, absolutely. And deservedly so.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, then. So anything else that we need to know about your visa appointment stage, or shall we move on to... we talked about what documents are required. Is it worth going through a little list there?
So in terms of I think the only prep that we need to look at on the list is, so we spoke about, obviously, we always go through our red flags in our calls. So it's criminal records, it's finances, it's healthcare, it's where you're going to live in Spain, and where you are living in the UK, and any possible tax liabilities. They're the sort of the documents that we talk about preparing when we go through it. I suppose the other thing just to be aware of is the validity of documents. And the validity of documents are a criminal records is valid for 6 months. So we always say, look, count it as 180 days validity for the criminal record, and 90 days for the medical certificate, and 90 for your medical certificate, which is declaration of good health and no diseases under the International Healthcare Agreement of 2005, and the marriage certificate, if you have to get one, has to be a duplicate dated within 90 days as well. So just bear in mind, those things you can't prepare until they fall into your timeline.
Yeah. And there's apostilles and translations as well. How long are they sort of taking to come through?
Not too bad. Actually, the apostilles this time of year tend to slow down a little bit. So we use a company to do those, and they take between 5 to 7 working days. Translations as well, they can normally take around, I had one of our translators turn around a translation on Monday morning at 10 o'clock to get it to a client who had an appointment at 1:15 in Edinburgh, and she got it through. So well done on that one, a last minute translation. But normally they would take 2 to 4 days to complete and then be sent out. Again, what you have to remember is that times like August can be difficult because translators generally take time off. So they have their holiday. So August and Christmas is generally when it's tough or take a while to get translations through.
Great stuff. Oh, Rob's saying thank you for your answer. These people living under the radar moved there in 2019 and are YouTubers for income. Once their subscribers asked them about their papers, they blocked us all. They should know better if they're YouTubers and doing their research. And they could have, if they moved there in 2019, they could quite easily have had their EU residency and transferred it to a TIE afterwards. There you go.
Yes, but if you're on YouTube in Spain and getting benefits, maybe you're going to get caught anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's you've actually putting it on screen, and the tax office can watch all of your videos. Yeah, wouldn't be nice. And it's annoying to people like me because I work my arse off to make this work. I'm paying taxes, I'm paying my social security, and trying to do it all right. And people are screwing that up for everybody else. Then, yeah, I'm not happy about that. So, if I was you, Rob, I'd report them. There you go. But I'll leave it up to you. Becca Phillipson says, can you apply for residency without having a house in Spain? That's a good one. Hoping to buy a ruin and rebuild and not sure if it will have an address.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely get residency without having, you can apply for your visa without having a place in Spain initially. At the moment in the UK, if you're applying from the UK, it's not a problem. You can use a temporary address. But be aware that when you get here, you are going to need a permanent address to start registering at to follow the administrative procedures that you need to do. But yeah, certainly if you're going to buy a ruin, you would need somewhere else to live while you're doing it up once you get here. But for the initial application, you'll be fine with a temporary address.
Yeah. Do ruins have an address? If you want to put a caravan on the site or something and use the address, will it have a?
Yeah, if it's a ruin, i.e. that's been marked as a vivienda or somewhere to live beforehand, because the state of the property, it will still have an address. You might not be able to receive post it, but it should have. If it's just a plot of land, then evidently you can't register yourself at a plot of land.
Yeah.
But then if it's a plot of land, you struggle to get permission to do up a ruin on it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if it, depends what kind of ruin it is, doesn't it? If it's a ruin of an actual residential ruin, but sometimes they've got just a shack on there that used to be used for storing tools for somebody who's working the land, and that wouldn't count. But yeah, be interesting to find that one out. Yeah, okay then. So before we move on to stage 2, here's a quick plug for some other friends of ours who do the best currency exchange. And this delightful company that I recommend specialise in safe, fully insured transfers of your cash for property purchase or moving to a new country. But they can also help you with any kind of transfer amount, like your monthly pension, for example, once you're over here. So your pension is always at the same rate for a year or two. So to get this wonderful service, use the link below to Smart Currency Exchange. It's in the video description and pinned to the top of the comments, along with the super link and the link to Chris's website and everything as well. So, and if you use that link, you'll get a free account and free advice and your own very lovely personal broker. There's no obligation. Plus, you'll actually be helping YouTooSpain as well at no cost to you. It is, as I always say, Win-win-win with a cherry on top. There we go. I only get to say that once a week, but I enjoy it. Okay, moving on to stage 2. So you've arrived in Spain. Take us through the process of residency for retirees and what you need to prepare for.
Yep. So again, it's the S1 registration. Now, funnily enough, I mean, we actually been having some good success with the speed that they've been coming through, and also going back to what we were saying about the appointments. We're doing okay, a lot better than we thought we were going to do for the registering appointments. But what you need to do is make sure that when you immediately get your visa, that you inform the person who's helping you, unless you do it yourself, obviously, so they can literally jump on it and start looking for your stage 2 appointments. Okay, so don't tell them a week later. Don't tell us a week. Most people do anyway because they're very excited. But that's the main thing. And the 2 big things which are important for moving over for anybody who's helping you is your copy of your visa and your expected entry date into Spain.
Brilliant.
Because those two. Go on.
I was just going to say, it must be an excellent job you have dealing with excited people all the time.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. When you get that visa over the line, we don't celebrate the wins enough actually here, because I go back to stage 1. Jane obviously picks up stage 2 with the rest of the team. It's a lovely part of the process because you're going to get your visa registered here. You're coming to live here. There's never a problem with registering it. You sometimes get hit bumps along the road, like town halls who don't want to issue padrons and stuff immediately, but it's going to happen. And then obviously, I think one of the biggest things, and I spoke to Donald, who's on the live chat about this, was actually organizing to get your stuff over.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're also personal items. You don't have to pay tax on your personal items if it comes from the UK. For example, I think yours came through Ireland, didn't it? So
it did, yeah.
Yes, it didn't. So, but there seems to be this common problem and misunderstanding that if you bring it early or bring your goods early, you can pay the tax at the border and then reclaim it back. I can tell you now that's extremely hard. But then your other option is to put your goods into storage, wait until you've moved to Spain, got your padron, got your TIE card, then bring them over, prove it's for change of residency, hence waiving the tax, and you get them in tax free. But the storage generally tends to be a couple of times more expensive than the actual paying of the tax of the personal items. And I'm just now repeating, because we don't get involved in this process too much, but I'm just repeating what people have told us. So as part of your preparation for stage 2, even if you come in next year, maybe that's something you need to start looking into right now, is reducing what you actually want to bring, researching what you thought you needed to bring and can buy here instead, things like TVs, there's no point.
Yeah.
And that could really affect, your timeline on stage 2.
Yes, very, very good point. We've covered that in previous videos, but only like 2 or 3 years ago. We've not mentioned that for a while, but it is a very good point. Just pare down what you've got. We came over with too much, and we did bring a TV over, but that became my studio monitor here, which turned out very handy, but that's broken now, and I've ended up buying a Spanish one anyway, which didn't cost very much. So yeah, would have been a lot easier just to have done that right at stage 1 and sold my telly.
An update show on that.
Yeah. What to bring over. Let's write that down.
Because things have changed an awful lot with the availability of Amazon and other things here. What you bring.
It is so cheap to get a lot of stuff over here. There you go. So what did we say on the live chat? Rob says, I agree, it makes me angry also about people living under the radar. I abide by the law all my life. Thank you. Good to hear, Rob. Thank you. And Becca Phillipson says, thank you. It would be a residential ruin. We'll look for a cheap place beforehand.
That's fine. You can do that.
Yeah. And if you can get the address of the residential ruin and get yourself a caravan put on the land, then that's presumably allowed because you've got the address. There you go. Andy Elmer says, hi gents, good to see you. I'm late again. Sounds very interesting. It is. It's all very interesting. Thank you, Andy. You can always watch back the beginning afterwards. And Donald says, removers are not keen to try and avoid tax at the point of entry. They just want us to pay the tax. Oh.
That's generally the feedback that we get. And, you know, it's not quite right, but the timing is very, very wrong for most people because of the fact that you have to still get in and register your TA card and stuff.
Timing. Always the issue, isn't it? That's that. I think there ought to be a big flashing neon sign in your office. Timing.
The timeline. I wanted to do a video on it, and it's so, you know, every time I talk to somebody about a timeline, I think this must sound so complicated. But I wish I could come up with an algorithm, you know, that you put in. You know, I'd love to come up with get ChatGPT to an algorithm and say, like, this is the date I'm moving. This is the date I'm giving up work. This is how much good stuff I want to take. This is where I'm moving to. It just kicks out your timeline for you. You know, that'd be great.
It's the sort of thing that ChatGPT would be very good at. Yeah, there'll be a way of doing that. Just ask.
Maybe we need to create a app with an algorithm.
That would be perfect, yeah, because it's different for everybody, and that's the problem. That's why we used to get this question asked all the time. Can you give me a list of exactly what you need to do and in what order? And it's just so individual because it depends on the timing of lots of things, like the sale of your house, just for example, one that I can throw in, and how long it takes to get your S1 and all of those bits and bobs, and everything changes for everybody. But yeah, there must be a way of doing it so that when each thing changes or when each thing moves, then you can change the date of the move and just throw it into the algorithm and it just reworks your plan, because it's going to change, isn't it? The plan's just going to keep changing as you go along.
There is one. If you draw a line in the sand and you have your variables and non-variables, okay, and then compare the two, that's what we try and do. You know, that's a good way of getting started, you know, because your non-variables are the things that shift in a structure, and your variables are something that could be all over the place, like a house sale. So you have your structure here, when to get started, you know, 6 weeks before acro, 3 weeks before medical certificate, whatever. And then you look at the big variable and go, right, well, this whole block is going to depend on this. And then you plug it in once you know what you're doing. But it's quite hard still.
Yeah. Must be a way. We'll have to think about doing that. I'd like to create an app.
We'll retire on the app then next year. There'll be somebody else here, somebody else that end.
Yeah. Perfect. Just have somebody paying to have it done for you. There we go. Alan is saying there are companies that offer one-way self-drives. It will work for us as we have got a dog as well, he says.
That's good.
Yeah. My videos now says that's very possible. What, getting a dog is just self-drives. Thank you, my videos now. So we're at stage 2. Anything else that we need to talk about there? What's the process? So I've got in my notes, what is the order of what you have to do? Just exactly what we've been talking about.
That's right. You know what? I love that self-drive thing, because I've always wanted to drive to the UK, but never want to drive back. Yeah, I've always went, and but I don't know the legalities of if you're taking one back. What if it's a registered vehicle from the UK? I wouldn't be allowed to take it back.
I was told there were none from Ireland, because I was going to do, let's hire a van, take it over on the ferry, and take it down to Malaga or Granada or wherever it was we wanted to put it in storage, take the stuff off, and then leave it at a depot. But it was all a question of insurance. The companies couldn't get it, so I couldn't find a company who would do a one-way.
I could say, if you get a Spanish registered self-drive that wants to go back to the UK, that's a road trip holiday. That'd be brilliant. Can you imagine that? Because I'd be okay insured in the UK and Spanish registration if it would. Anyway, deviating from the fact there. Sorry about that. Just found that interesting.
That's all. It is interesting. Yeah, Alan says that they do both ways. I mean, what you could do is do the drive one way, and then you've got to drive the van back and then fly back, which, that means 2 ferry trips and a lot more, maybe some hotels on the way, and so maybe the cost is going to be a problem there.
I always wanted to do it from here to the UK, but then just cheap flight back.
Yeah, I'll just buy a really cheap van Yeah, that might be the cheapest way of doing it. Depends how cheap you can get the van, really.
Yeah, if it's going to last the journey, if it's cheap.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That's one of the things that we did, was buy a cheap car, sold my expensive car, relatively expensive car, and bought a cheap Ford Galaxy, took out the back seats and used that as a little van to go down. But it broke down once we got off the ferry. So there we go. Although I could have avoided that, really could have avoided it. But no regrets. Oh, my videos now says it's the chat GPT is very possible. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. And on McAfee said they do both ways. Basingstoke in the UK to Benissa in Alicante. There you go. Good. So there is a company that does it. The tunnel is £125 and hotels €50 a night. It does sound like cheaper than hiring. Depends how much stuff you've got, really, but it does sound like cheaper than hiring a removal company. Yeah.
What's customs like going the other way? So say I was to hire a van, Spanish registered, right, with my family, and said, let's do a road trip and take a jamon to my family. What's customs like going into the UK? We always talk about going this way. I've never been. Are you allowed to take a certain amount of wine and beer through, or I don't know.
Not jamon. I don't think you're allowed to. Definitely not. But yeah, there is a limit. Yeah, to what you can take into the UK. Now, I think the limit's
the same. Isn't it?
I think it's reduced now that they're not in the EU, but I don't know, because it's obviously easy to get across the border into France. You can take as much jamon as you like and driven up to France. But if they want it, they'll be too proud. No, keep your Spanish food. We've got French food.
How did we get on this subject?
I don't know. We've wandered off the topic, haven't we? So
where are we? Where were we?
We're at stage 2. We're trying to get through the process of residency for retirees. What have we not talked about?
We did the imports. I think we're just talking about the paperwork when you get here. And I think it's just, as you say, it's again, one of the other things is very difficult if you own a. One of the points is that I get asked quite a lot is, do I have to be a resident to buy a property? Answer is no. You can buy it as a non-resident, and keep an eye on this channel for updates regarding 100% tax, which you'll always get. We'll not get too much into that, but no, you don't have to be a resident. And then it's preparing the rental beforehand is extremely difficult. So it's doing your research in your areas. I mean, I suppose what we're talking about now is because there's so many variables if you're moving this time next year that you're not going to be able to nail down now. Just don't worry about them, because you can't. There's no point stressing about your TIE card appointment at this very point. But you can discovery trips, build up contacts, build up your little black book, looking at the areas where you're going to be moving, do the research on YouTube, etc., etc. It's very unlikely that you're going to get a rental. But we have seen this year clients of ours secure rentals really early for people who've had enough of holiday rentals. The new law that's being put into place regarding the legalization of holiday rentals is going to free up a lot more, hopefully, long-term rentals, which is good for us. So, discovery trip and research is key.
Brilliant. My videos now says the van hire is approximately €1,000. No issues with customs when we came back to the UK. So you were moving back from Spain to the UK and you hired a one-way van, is that right? Because that is really good to know. Becca says, one more question. I'm coming over in October to look at houses. Can you bring over a car if you're temporary, as your temporary one for a week or two? Yes, you can bring a UK car over. It's just like you've been on holiday. And the new visas, if travelled through France, would you need 2 visas? That's a good point.
No, you don't need 2 visas. You just need your... Oh, hang a minute. But you're talking about probably ETIAS and EES now.
Well...
Would that be referring to that? In terms of residency visas, obviously for Spain, you just need your NLV. But in terms of getting into France, obviously that's going to be updated this year, isn't it?
Yes. And what people used to do is they'd come over the ferry from the UK into France. You'd get a stamp there. So what do they do? What do they need to do to prove? This was a question on YouTube actually. What do you need to do to prove, even with EES, that you've actually entered Spain?
You get a document called a Declaración de Entrada. Though, to be honest with you, we've never actually had a problem getting an NLV registered without one, because getting a Declaración de la Entrada is not always that easy. But if you can get one, great. It's a piece of paper when you go to the police station and say, hey, I'm here. And they go, oh, stamp. Yes, we've seen you here. That's it. Job done. Actually, I'll give you a link to some more information for that, because we've got a great article on that. And if you can't get a Declaración de Entrada, make sure you keep as much proof as possible that you crossed the border. So petrol receipts, hotel receipts, and everything like that. So far, across all the provinces, as long we've had French entry stamps and proof of people entering, which hasn't been a Declaración de Entrada, and it's been fine. We haven't had any problems.
Aha. Brilliant. I'm just checking out my my photos, because there was a question. Yes. Yeah, this is a question about UK members who are protected by the under the withdrawal agreement that have renewed their 5-year TIE for a permanente. If so, which box do you check in section 4, question 4.2 of the EX23? So to remind you, Chris, that's the type of document 4.1.
Say again. Sorry, I was adding a link to the chat. So sorry, say that question again. One more question. I'm coming over in October to look.
Oh, that's the other one. That's the one we've just answered. Let's put this one on the screen so you can see it as well. This was from Chris Lee. Which box do you check if you're renewing your 5-year TIE for a permanente? So he's ticked 4.1 there, which is correct. Which of these boxes on 4.2 do you tick? Because there's been an argument on certain social media groups about which box to tick.
Number 1, Residencia Inicial. So if you are, I can't really see that. Let me bring up an X23 and I'll have a look. But if your situación in España is that you, hang on, no, you've got your Residencia Inicial. Okay, so you've still got your first residency, and you're going to renew your card, and you'll get a permanent one.
Okay.
The other thing is,
everybody else is saying tick the 4th one, Residencia Permanente, but that wouldn't be right.
No, because it's familiar. So in these cases with the X23s, okay, because this is a presential appointment at the comisaria, right? In any doubt that you have regarding the boxes, okay, ask when you go, leave them blank and say, I've left this blank, which one do you want me to tick? And they'll do it there. So it's number 1, but if you have any doubt at all, no stress. It's not an online Mercurio application, which when you put the stuff online in Mercurio, you have to have it correct. But if you're actually going there to anything, if it's an EU application, if it's an NIE, or if it's a withdrawal agreement, and you've got any sort of doubt on what you are doing or what you need to tick, then just leave it blank and tick it when you get there.
Brilliant. So yes, funnily enough, Citizens Advice Spain had 2 different people saying 2 different things, and none of them were the first box.
Okay.
So yes, no comment on that. But yeah, I'm going to go up to Computer Socials and feed that back.
If you look at what it actually says, so I've got one note. So you've got the situation in Spain, initial residency. Is that your situation? Well, if you've got a 5-year card, well, it is. Residency with a certificate of registration of the European Union. That's if you've still got the green card. Okay. Residency temporal tarjeta de familiar de nacional de Reino Unido. I've just gone into Spanish, and so a temporal card as basically a beneficiary of somebody from the United Kingdom. So if your WA withdrawal agreement status is dependent on somebody else from the United Kingdom, then you tick that box. If you've got permanent residency in Spain, i.e. you haven't got your 5-year temporary card, the 4th box is ticked because it's permanent residency with a tarjeta with a card from a family member, and then you've got otros at the bottom, so you're in another situation. But if you've just got a temporary card, then your situation is in Spain. You're in your initial residency.
Brilliant. That's very obvious, isn't it? Now that you've mentioned it. Perfecto.
But
Okay.
okay, again, this is, I know, citizens' advice, whatever. But if you are in doubt, these people behind the desks, okay, they're not evil. They can sometimes be a little bit moody, but they're not evil. If any doubt, they prefer they have the correct documents. You're talking to them, say, "Oh, by the way, which one of these boxes should I tick?" And they'll tell you.
Yeah. Very good. Ian Butterworth says, let's just make sure I've answered everyone. My videos now says, yes, correct. What I was saying was it's a one-way van hire, €1,000. That's perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. Becca Phillipson says, yes, the new temporary visas that start in October. Yes. Yeah, okay. Yes, we've answered that one. And Ian Butterworth says, morning, both. Slight change of subject. I bought a part-built house, as in it doesn't have any walls up yet. Oh, yes. Just got an up-to roof stage. I'm over the end of August. Should I try and get a padron, that's meant to say, as I know you need one at some stage, he continues.
No, don't get your padron until you become a resident in Spain. So it depends on passport you've got, if you're EU or non-EU. But obviously, if you are going for a visa, get your visa first, then come over, then register on the padron, and then you can continue with the administrative process. If you are an EU citizen, then when you come here permanently to live, then you need to register on the padron before you go for your residency, but not before that, because if you're coming backwards and forth, it's when you make that final commitment that you're going to come here to live. At that point, you need to get on the padron as part of your registration as a European citizen, but not before.
Yeah. And Alan says, would you recommend pre-booking an appointment for the padron before arrival, or wait till you arrive? Wait till you arrive. And it takes different lengths of time at different town halls. So in Computer, for example, it's after I just walked in there, they gave me the form, they said to me, fill it in and bring it back, which I did the following day. And then once I'd handed it in, it took them 3 weeks to send me a little message saying, come and pick it up. But in some places you can get one the same day. They just give it to you. So yeah, no point in doing it too far in advance. Okay, any more questions on the live chat while we finish up with stage 2 of the process? While we wait for that, if you've had some useful information by the way, smash that like button into smithereens, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. It's well documented that about half of the people watching on both of our YouTube channels aren't subscribed to the channels they're watching, and I can't think why not. It's completely free and you have control over notifications and all kinds of messages, so just click on the button. It's all down to you, costs you nothing. It's a win-win-win with the cherry on top, and you can always find the best channel on YouTube, or the best 2 channels, should I say. And yeah, okay, and we don't have any more questions coming yet. There is a bit of a delay. Anything else to say about this stage 2 that we haven't mentioned?
I think that's more or less us for now, isn't it? We'll definitely do more vids on stage 1, stage 2, probably at the end of the year as well, won't we? We normally do catch-up videos, don't we? I put that link to the Declaración de Entrada in the private chat, but I don't know how to get it on the normal chat.
Yes, you can. And I think, let's just see if I can do it from here. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah, I managed to copy and paste it. I'll also put that, I'll pin that to the top of the comments as well, underneath the link to the Upsticks channel, and yeah, and in the video description as well. So that's all sorted. Ian and Becca both saying thank you for those answers. So well, we've gone past the hour, so we won't go for the usual arguments. Well, we can answer it very, very quickly, can't we?
Let's do it.
It's the Women's Euros final tomorrow, and for the last 3 championships, I don't mean the Euros, but the World Cup as well. The last 3 years, it's been England versus Spain, it's been a great time for both countries in terms of the women's football. And yeah, they both play really well. Who do you think's going to win, Chris?
England for sure. I think they're definitely going to win it. I'm hoping so because we're going to watch it with my friends, and they always come with the Spanish flags, and we always have a huge bit of banter because even my daughter now cheers for Spain, whereas obviously we're cheering for England. And well, actually, I'm cheering for England because Raul's a bit impartial about football and Lara doesn't care. So we'll be there watching it, and I honestly think it's going to be a nail biter as the whole tournament's been, and I think England are going to snatch it at the death.
Yeah, that's very, very good at doing that, wasn't it? The match against Italy, Italy were 1-0 up until the 96th minute, and then the very quick goal right at the very end by one of the super subs, and then of course it was extra time, and they waited until the second part of extra time to drop a goal in right near the end, and that put them through, and they've done that so many different times. So, but Spain, strong team. They've got what is it, Bonmati? She's another last-minute goal scorer that changes matches around, and yeah, she's a bit of a star. So yeah, it's going to be a nail biter. I don't think there's going to be that many goals. It's going to be one of those tense matches where both teams are. It's not always. Yes, a lot of nervousness going on. And and it doesn't matter which team have been the strongest for the 90 minutes, because Italy looked the strongest for 90 minutes, and then it's just that last minute goal that does it. And then England were getting better all the way through extra time, but there you go. So who knows? I think it's going to be close. I think it might go to penalties,
Oh, that'd be a late night, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I've got a gig straight afterwards, so yeah, that doesn't start till 9 o'clock though. So I think 3 hours is enough time to get the whole match in, and extra time and penalties just before I start. So hopefully, otherwise nobody's going to be in there.
Fantastic.
There we go. So any extra little questions? Donald says, thanks again, guys. It's all getting closer and more exciting. And Alan McAfee says, would declaration certificate be invalid with the new NLV rules? I.e. from the appointment.
What declaration?
Is that customs declaration, or are we still talking about moving over?
It'd be invalid for the new.
Just a quick explanation, Alan, before we go. Yes. What declaration do you mean? Let's do the goodie bag then while we're waiting for an answer.
Check this out. See, look, we've got some more caps.
Yeah. No,
these can only be sent to Spain. Now, I seem to remember last week somebody was going to send me a Spanish address to send their stuff, and and we didn't seem to receive a Spanish address. Didn't receive any addresses. So if that was you, send it across, because I can't see the address. But I can send these to Spain. I can't send them to the UK. But we have got goodies to go to the UK as well. But we have also got now, look at these limited edition Upsticks can holders.
Oh, nice.
These are really nice. These are great.
Keep your can cold. Is that?
Yeah, and then these are fantastic quality-ish. Upsticks Drive key rings. Now, just look at those. There you go.
Look, nice.
They are, and I can sneak them through to the UK normally, So, and we did manage to get across a couple of those smellies turned up in the UK through the post. So, send us your address. Who are we going to choose? That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, Paul Cook says it was me, Chris. I'll email you today. Yay!
Well, Paul, you did well, because then if I'd have done it last week, you wouldn't have got one of these.
Yeah.
There we go.
An extra. Brilliant. And who else then? Has Ian Butterworth been the recipient? Are you still there, Ian? Have you ever had a goodie bag?
No. Send us your address.
Yeah. To the email address YouTube at upsticks.es. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm just laughing at Steve's comment.
What was it? Goodie bags. Bet Chris sneaks one of his famous fans in. Yeah, you got. In fact, if there's only 2 recipients, you're going to get half of what's left of all of the fans.
Yeah, I've got 250 fans now. I really was quite excited because Ferrier, And everybody went, "No, it's naff." One of our clients actually went, "Oh, somebody spends all that money on non-lucrative visa. They're on their second renewal. Love them to bits. They're in Mercia." And he went, "Someone who spends all that money on renewals, not going to a naff bit of cardboard in there." In their folder. Well, it wasn't meant to be a naff bit of cardboard. I thought it was a useful thing for the day at your appointment, but I've definitely been shot down. If I don't care, I'm still giving them out.
I think it's the funniest thing that's happened in the history of the channel.
Oh dear, the NAF fans. I should have known
fans.
really the moment I opened the box and expected glee from Jane, and she looked at me and went, "Well, I won't tell you exact words because it's not suitable for YouTube, but you know."
I think what you should do is make a video of representing the moment when the fans were opened, and the glee from you and the total disappointment from everybody else.
What on earth have you thought of this
Oh,
time? You get stuff real spot on sometimes, but this time miles off, shot way past the mark with the fact naff.
I'm loving the caps though; they look great.
The caps are cool, aren't they? These are good ones, and we got some more coming. And but yeah, I quite like these. These are nice.
Brilliant. Oh, John, did we have anything else? Oh yeah, Alan was saying the declaration certificate. He's talking about 365 days from the appointment. He's talking about the date of validity, not from a stamp on the NLV. But what's the declaration certificate? Is that declaring that you've entered Spain?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I understand now. Sorry, we're just talking about it. I've got it in front of me. Declaración de entrada. Sorry, we didn't click. Good question. I'll tell you what we're going to do is we've got our first appointment with the first 365 visa coming up very, very soon. Hopefully on the 7th of August. At that point, we're going to know what resguardo we get back from those visas, and that's going to tell us the start date to the residency. Okay. And that is going to question everything from, are they actually taking into account the stamp anymore, the declaration certificate that we were just talking about? Also, the tax status. We're going to have to get an opinion from somebody about the tax, because if they're backdating the TIE card to the date of the visa instead of the residency when you entered, what are the complications? So as and when these dates come through and we see what people are getting on their TIE cards, we're going to be able to give you a more concise answer on that.
Brilliant. Okay, so there is John G has a comment. My wife and I are doing the NLV from Cyprus separately due to pet sitting. Process taking so long. Hers is in. I cannot start awaiting my documents. Can I extend my 90 days in Spain if she is approved?
No. So you're talking about within this. If you haven't got your visa and you can't extend your Schengen days in Spain until you go back and get your visa and come back in, what you don't have to do once your days are expired, if you go back to the country where you're applying from, once you get your visa, you can come straight back in, but you can't extend it from here.
Brilliant. Donald McKenzie says, I'll book a fan for the next time I'm there. Very good. Yes.
We've got one fan at the time.
Carry it proudly. And Marie Dye says, is it correct if family and friends wants to visit us in Spain, we have to give them a letter of invitation?
This comes up every year, doesn't it? Because it's holiday time. No, at the moment they're not. It's mainly the letter of invitation comes to a country that require a visa to enter into Spain, and not talking about the new ETIAS and EES at the moment. But no, at the moment, British citizens are not being requested a letter of invitation. If that's where they're coming from, really, I'm assuming then to come into Spain and stay with you. Though they could be asked, but nobody ever is.
Yeah, we don't have any reports. I've never heard of anybody being asked, certainly not from the UK. In fact, I've never heard of anybody being asked for one. I imagine that the rule was put in place to discourage the dangerous immigrants coming in and, pretending that they're going to stay somewhere. And it's just to, to tighten up and discourage things like that. I don't know.
You're taking responsibility. It's very common with South American People visiting from South America have slightly different convenios and can, if they manage to get in the country, can stay here for a certain amount of time or to get things like arraigo, and they try and discourage that. And the one of the ways they do it is by getting somebody to write a carta de invitación, which also in a way declares a responsibility for the person that you're inviting if they do overstay. So
great stuff. Okay, so that is all that we've got time for this week. Hover over that QR code, buy me a coffee or three if you haven't already, and in a few moments I'll tell you who my expert guest will be next week. But
hang on a minute. I've got to I'm doing a short.
Are you? Go on then.
You can finish off now. Go on.
Yeah, I'll finish off. So that's all we have time for this week. Let's go through that again. Hover over the QR code, buy me a coffee or three if you haven't already. In a few moments, I'll tell you who my expert guest will be next week. You can just prove that I'm reading from a script because I'm saying exactly the same as I said a few minutes earlier. Anyway, but for now, let's give Chris a big virtual kiss and a hug and say goodbye for now. And we'll see you in 3 weeks' time.
See you in 3 weeks.
Bye for now. There we go. Well, that was groovy, wasn't it? Yes, of course it was. So who do we have on next week's show? Well, I'm very happy to announce the return of our favourite expert, Hestor Antonio, who will be answering your questions about accounting and tax and all of the other paperwork tasks that he is extremely well qualified to talk about. There will be a special topic within that which we'll be focusing on, but keep your eyes on the Facebook group and page, and I'll announce during the week the more specific details about the topic that we will be covering. And until then, you lovely watchers, I'll see you on the midweek video at 6 o'clock Spanish time on Wednesday, and join me next week here on the Saturday show at 10 o'clock Spanish time. Peas and fluff, my friends, and I'll leave you all with a message from all of the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. Bye for now. Wave goodbye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.